Hello and welcome to the fourth Fountain Live. It brings me great pleasure today to introduce the world, if you don't know him already, which would surprise me, to Deco, aka David Cooper, who is the marketing manager at Fountain. Deco, how are you doing?
Not bad, Chris. Not bad. How are you?
Good man. Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm not just a guy with a dodgy leopard print shirt. My name is Chris and I'm the social media manager at Fountain. Deco, this topic today, it's a bit of untrodden turf. You know, people haven't gone there yet, so bit of a risky one potentially. But we want to try and talk about the positive outcomes of COVID-19 on digital marketing. What's your take on it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think the first things to probably clarify are this isn't profiteering. We're not profiteering from a difficult situation. Obviously, it's been very hard on some people to different extents. But what we're doing is trying to support a community here, both individuals, freelancers, businesses as well. And the other point to clarify is I really hate the term new normal. I know everyone used to say
don't we all?
Yeah, we even use it a lot in Fountain, and because we're not in a new normal. Like, lockdown is not a new normal. It's a temporary anomaly, is what it is, and it will end. And then what's going to happen on the other side is going to be really similar to what was there before. It's not going to warrant the term new normal. But one area that is going to change quite drastically will be digital marketing. It's going to speed up, I think, this online migration that's been happening since the internet was created in the 80s. People have been moving online, and it's just a speed up of that progression rather than a revolution. So this is why I think that the term new normal is probably a bit too grandiose for it. But again, the effects this will have on digital marketing will basically mean it will expand because that online audiences. So original forms of marketing and more traditional forms like billboards, ads on the side of a bus, digital out of home, DDOH, they're not going to have the expanse of audience that they had before. So because as people are moving online, so people are going to have to adjust their budgets or so. And we've seen that already, actually. Clients are already starting with us again and have increased their budget to higher than they were before COVID started, which is really interesting. So I think a lot of companies are going to have to look to head to that online space if they're not there already.
So DK, I think you've already kind of gone into it a little bit there. How have you I know that you're all over it when it comes to all things digital marketing. What are your observations in terms of online user behavior?
So, yeah, as you say, it's kind of it creates the effect of what I just answered there. But what this is users moving online, this online migration, as I said, and their attention is going to be moved from the outside world, from looking at everything that's going on outside, to the digital sphere. So things that are outside aren't going to see as many people because more people are coming online and more people are spending more time online as well. Both of us included, no doubt. And this is only going to increase. I think some of the effects of this are obviously because of lockdown and because of furlough, and they're both going to end. But the one thing that isn't is working from home. And if anything, that's going to increase. One of my friends, for example, his company are now trialing only 2-day weeks in the office. And then for the other 3 days, you work from home. And this is going to have quite big effects on certain industries. So he was looking to buy a flat that was, it wasn't the biggest flat in the world, but it was near a train station. That was the big draw, near a train station, so we could commute easily. But he doesn't need that anymore because he's not commuting so regularly. So he can actually look now for a bigger place slightly further out, which is, it's great for him. And that's fantastic. And I think that's what organizations need to bear in mind is we are spending more time looking at screens and more people are all over the internet. Can I share my screen?
Of course you can, Deco. You can do anything in this stream.
I don't know. You don't know my abilities. Okay.
Oh wow.
Can we see this?
Here we go. Yeah, we can see it.
Cool.
What's this?
This you can't see all of it. I'll scroll down in a second so you can. But what these are 3 different charts. It's some research that I did into certain search terms. So I looked at the UK for the last 12 months, so from June to June, and looked at certain terms that people were typing into Google. So buy online being the first one. And what we can see here is that the highest point is what Google assign 100%. It's drastic, isn't it? And so we're kind of, for most of 2019 and the first part of 2020, kind of tottering around 25, 30%. And then we see a 3x increase within the space of a month for buy online. For online delivery, it's a similar story, but even more drastic. So this is 10, 20x, again, in the space of 1 month. And then for virtual events, at the bottom, it's similar. So I'll stop sharing that now. But what that kind of show is great, isn't it?
I expected nothing less from you, DK.
Yeah. But I think what this shows is that it's not just that users are online more. Their behavior online is suggesting that they're actually looking for companies and services that are engaging online as well. So those companies that are already in that space are going to get far more traction than companies that aren't so much. And, you know, again, that just pushes that whole idea of you need to move online because that's where the audience is.
Yeah. DK, obviously this is about positives, of course. We need to try and keep positive, but there are lots to discuss. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up is what role do stores now play in the world, full stop? What happens to stores?
It's a good and interesting question, and I think it's one that probably a lot of people are avoiding answering, and ones that
you're not
want answering. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops, and I think it would be naive of me to say that I know exactly what's going to happen. I don't. But what I can say is that stores will close. There will be a decrease in the number of stores that different companies will need. Not necessarily across the board, though. That will only be for certain industries. For some, it may even increase. Who knows? But what stores are going to have to do is play up to this online migration. So one thing that we were doing before was looking at how we could turn them into destinations. So it wasn't just, oh, I need to buy a new T-shirt. Let's just go to the shop quickly. You know, you can do that online now. So why would I go to the shop? Yeah. Oh, because they've got all of this extra stuff. So one of the things this is going to be the most controversial thing I say here. And as a kid, I didn't like Disney.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh, wow. I might have to kick you off the stream right now for that.
But I didn't. But one thing I loved was going to the Disney store. And that's because they let you just play with some of the toys.
Yeah.
And also they had a massive screen at the back of the store that just reeled Disney films. It actually just played Disney films, and they had big booming speakers. And it felt like I was like part of like Disneyland or something like that. It was amazing. And okay, granted, I was a child then, and that probably wouldn't attract me today, but stores can still do that. They still need to look at how they can make their brick and mortar stores destinations for people. So not just a place you can buy stuff, but can you interact with things? Can you trial things out? If it's video games, can I play one? Is there kind of like VR things that you can use? So that's one way I think that the stores are going to need to kind of evolve if they're going to stay alive. But one thing that they can do if they're not going to stay as the kind of typical brick and mortar is to engage with this online world. So working in tandem with the digital sphere. So one way of doing that would be to have maybe virtual interactions with staff. So instead of going into a store to talk to store clerks, you kind of elevate their position to be consultants. One brilliant piece of customer interaction I had when I was buying a sofa for DFS was I had like an online consultation with someone, and it came off almost as a Zoom call, and I could choose if I had my camera off or on, or microphone off or on, and it made the interaction so efficient and also just better as well. Because one thing that you could even do with that is, what if they were actually in store and could, if it was on like a mobile phone, like show you things in store as well on there. So you've suddenly got an interactive online store. completely digitized. And again, it's maybe not one step away, it's probably 2 steps away, but I think that's definitely a way to get this online world interacting with brick and mortar. And I think the final thing as well is, especially from a digital marketing perspective, looking at how you can, if your product or service is something maybe you can only get in store, looking at how you can tell people to get there easier. If, let's say, I want to buy a jacket or something like that, do you have an ad that comes up saying, we sell jackets and here is your nearest store, here's the address even, and we're even going to give you directions how to get there. So that's how I see them kind of playing out in the future.
What an answer. So much value in that, DK. I agree with your points, actually. I think, to be honest with you, we're probably in the experience era in terms of, like, you know, destinations and stores evolving into that. I think we're probably maybe like 1.5 to 2 years into that now. I think people have been hiding from it for a while. And as you've said, DK, it's a great opportunity for businesses to now really double down on that and make sure they get the most out of customers when they come to visit, because no longer are you going to go into Primark, DK, to buy one white t-shirt. You want a whole experience. You want to get your hair cut. You want to get this isn't the BBC, we can mention brands, I think. I think there's loads of exciting things. I think the efficiency thing is really interesting as well, DK. I think that's a massive positive in terms of digital marketing, because businesses have now got more of an opportunity than ever before to really, really up the ante on their user experience, and not just their website, but, you know, their socials, even just the way that they're attracting customers, you know, the whole full funnel. You know, I really do believe that they've got a fantastic opportunity to innovate, try different things, and see a huge amount of benefit as well. So that's really super good, DK.
That's really interesting, actually, because there's definitely already been quite a lot of experimentation into that, and I think that especially now, that the big thing is that there are more audiences online, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what demographic your audience is, no matter what their interests are. There's more of those people online than ever before. So now is the perfect time to reach them online.
Is DK, is one of the positives in terms of digital marketing for businesses, is one of the positives that the cost per click has gone up or gone down, or what are you kind of seeing? And also, as well as that question, just to be a bit annoying and throw you another question, what are the big players doing at the moment? Because you know, it'd be really interesting for people that run small and medium business. What are the big players doing, and how has the amount of people being online affected the cost per click?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so to answer the first question on cost per click there, what we saw sort of as lockdown came into effect, and even lasting throughout, was that cost per clicks massively decreased. And it could be because some big players jumped out. Amazon jumped ship quite early on, but that meant that, I mean, how many products does Amazon sell? I'm not even going to hazard a guess that. But suddenly all that competition, there was this big space that had been filled by this absolute giant that was now vacant. So cost per clicks plummeted. We saw for some of our clients it going as low as 57% lower, which is massive. Like, we've never seen that before in 6 years. So it had a really positive effect there. And with all these extra audiences coming on board, it's going to, you know, okay, granted, Amazon are going to come back, maybe they already have, but because the audience is still that big, it's still going to be lower than it was pre-COVID, I would presume anyway, because there's that bigger audience out there, so there's more share for you to have. And in terms of how the big players are adapting, what I found really interesting is how different continents are reacting differently, which is very strange. I've not sort of seen this sort of behaviour before. But in the UK, so we might as well start there, we're seeing a lot of retailers not adapting their audience necessarily, but adapting their service slightly. So the big supermarket chains, you know, Tesco, Sainsbury's, the likes of them, they're all now focusing more on click and collect, because they can't get as many people in store, and at one point they couldn't really get anyone in store, so they had to find ways of getting food to you, and delivery was the best way of doing that. So they've actually shifted staff to focus on this. Actually, years ago during my uni days, used to work the night shift at Sainsbury's. And
I never knew that.
Oh, I don't tell many people.
Love
That's not something to brag about. But one thing that I never realised was when it came to the end of our shift, i.e. the morning, you'd suddenly see a load of staff coming round and taking stuff off the shelves and putting them into baskets. Those were shoppers for online people. Basically, when you do an online shop, you basically get a personalised shop. Someone will go around the store for you. It doesn't come out of a warehouse. It comes from the store itself before the customers are allowed in. And we're seeing more of that. So actually, again, staff positions are changing from these kind of generic clerks and shelf fillers to personalised shoppers. And so that's really, again, I think that's a great thing. I think especially if we can, with the whole click and collect, that moves things online as well. And then what we're seeing in Asia, particularly from China, and this I think a lot of people need to look out for, is they're moving their supplying position from B2B to B2C. So they're finding ways, so they're doing the opposite. They're not changing their service so much or product, they're changing their audience from businesses to customers so they can get bigger profits out of it. But I feel the one that really has nailed getting things online are the US and Scandinavia.
Right.
Because they have gone all out on the whole virtual showrooms. And when you have issues, they'll say, right, here's an online tutorial. And they've already got all their tutorials online for pretty much anything that can go wrong. You can, again, do these kind of visuals with staff online. And IKEA are a great one because I'm using clothes and furniture a lot. I think it's because that's all I can see at the moment. So that's in my mind. But they have this great app where you can click whatever piece of furniture it is you like. Maybe it's a bed, and kind of hold your phone up to your room, and it'll appear in VR, so you can see how the bed would look in your room. And it's that kind of thing that's moving, that's combining both the store element and the online element that is really making waves. The interesting thing, and this is why I think it's not just for the big players. My local pub does deliveries. I mean, we're seeing everything from the biggest retailers in the UK to my local doing deliveries of food. So if they can do it, anyone in between can.
Did you say food, Deco? I'm a bit disappointed. I thought you were going to be, bringing the beers home.
I mean, I kept that a bit quiet because, I like to keep a kind of image here. But yes, in fact, I'm going off to work today to get 4 points with me and my mate. But
Deco, obviously, tons of stuff there. And I think, what I've got from this so far from you very much so is that effectively COVID-19 has actually it's basically been a big fast forward button for digital marketing and for businesses as a whole. How can people benefit from this, Deco? Give us some kind of tangible takeaways that people can grab and go with today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the big thing for me is start with what you've got. So is it a service that you can move online? Is it actually, scrap that. Number one, get a website. That's the absolute number one thing. Get a website or move online in some fashion.
Yeah.
If it's food, Just Eat. If it's electrical equipment, maybe eBuyer or something else, Amazon. But if and when you have a site, focus on that. Focus on improving it, adapting it. Maybe if your service can't be bought online, make sure you find a way that it can be. Get some e-commerce involved. And I think a big thing there is just improving it. So you don't have the same sales funnel that you did before. So you don't have a cool conversation with someone, then a face-to-face meeting with a salesperson, then another one that confirms a sale, and so on. What you've got is one landing page, and then another landing page, and then the buying page and the checkout page. So you have to treat all these pages as if they were a stage of your funnel before, if they were a person, and optimize them accordingly. So are you getting people from this page to that page? If not, you need to do something about it. It's conversion rate optimization, CRO. It's, I think, the most understated aspect of digital marketing. Not nearly enough people do it. But when you've got that kind of going, when you've got that on the ball, then increase your online space. So if you've got a site already, maybe look at an app. Can you develop an app? Or are there sort of third-party integrations, as I mentioned, like other places like eBay and Amazon maybe, that you can sell on to increase your space online, your virtual real estate, as it were? And then I think the big thing, and obviously I'm going to say this because I'm in digital marketing, but invest in digital marketing, because it's great if you have all this space and if you can sell things on your website, on someone else's website, wherever it may be. But there's no good in that if no one's looking at it, if no one's coming to that page. And the only way to bring them to that page is through digital marketing. So it's, again, filling that funnel and then optimizing that funnel to get you as many sales as possible and to keep your business sustainable.
And of course, DK, you can forecast all of this forwards, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have the right numbers, I think it's the foundation of what we do and how we do things. Before we ever work on any account, before we look at optimizing a campaign at all, we will look at what are they achieving now, what could be achieved, and how will that look in 3, 6, 12 months time. And that is then going to reduce your risk massively. Because if you're getting a click-through at 0.5, but then you realize, oh, actually, that's not going to get me nearly enough traffic to the site for my conversion rate to get enough sales, you need to improve that click-through rate. Maybe your click-through rate, cost per click is too high that you need to reduce. So you can find exactly which metric, the tiny metric that it is that isn't working for you.
Gone are the days of gambling away your digital marketing budget, people. You can definitely forward. DK, wow, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy boy, so I really, really appreciate everything that you've supplied in this chat.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's really good to be on.
Absolute pleasure. And for everyone that's watching right now and will be watching back later on, feel free to send us a comment on YouTube or Facebook. Feel free to ask any questions for next time. No worries at all. I will make sure we get them answered. No problems whatsoever. On Twitter, we are at Fountain Team if you want to drop us a tweet. Apart from that, thanks very much for watching, folks, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye.